Welcome to Carolina Sculpture Studio. My name is Clint Button. I'm a granite sculptor. Welcome to video number 54 of the virtual stone carving apprenticeship. All right, it's late in the day. It's not the time to start on something involved like busting open silicone to be putting the mold together. So we're going to evaluate what we've got here in terms of the stone to see what's going to be feasible, what we need to do, and what we can't do. So, a couple of things. I washed off the stone just to make me happy. I've got a little bit of crumble along the joint where it broke out when it was sawed. So, we'll have to address that, whether it's to put a bevel on the joint. I'm still planning to turn the stone over. And so I'm going to let that set for right now, because my concern at this point has more to do with the dimensions of the base that we can actually use. Now, we've got potentially some extra width on the die. Right now it's at 5 feet. We ordered it 4.6. And I can probably cheat it out. I don't know if we'll be able to go clear to 5 foot or not. That's probably going to be too big, but we probably can get up in the 410 range because the sides are broke pretty straight. This split, this nice straight split, is the rift, okay? Where it breaks, and it breaks very straight. This is the rift. And this is the rift. See how nice and flat those are? Those are straight, okay? The top's on the run. Top's not quite as even. It's got more of a craziness to it. But have those sides break out even. If we were going to pitch that die, it would break more evenly up the long sides. Now here on this base, again, this is the head facing up. We're looking at the head just like we're looking at the head at that face, okay? Let's evaluate this piece. Okay, this is the rift right here, and for the most part it broke pretty straight. We've got a little bit of a scoop right here, but then see, this is on the run. See how humped that is? See that great big hump? I don't know if that reminds you anything. Someday you'll figure it out. But then again, if we're going to pitch this, we want the rift to be along the long side so we get nice breaks that go straight and not ones that dig and are really hard to control. Having the run on the shorter face gives us more control. So, but by looking at this, we've got a lot of stone sticking out here, and then this goes in here and breaks off, and it breaks off here. Now I washed these so I could watch them and see how the water did. We hopefully don't have a big deep crack that goes way down into here. We can see a line right up through here, but this depth right here is probably going to dictate where this plane can be. Now on the end, the other end's perfect. We don't have to touch it. The far end's been sawed, we're great. This end humps out. We're going to pitch the bottom half or 2/3 or whatever this anyways. And then this top, we're going to cut in 4 inches or so to do a scotia. And so this top edge isn't as critical because we're going to waste this off. So on this stone here, this is the other concern. In terms of width, is this is probably going to dictate the width of this die, this break-in on the corner, to a point. Now, the reason is because it may not be as critical because this far side is the long side. And so this side is nice and straight, goes up here, and then we've got this top. So we need to, I'll have to probably break this off to true up this face on this corner to go over for my approximately 3 feet that I need to go over, because I think the background on her was measured out at 2.6. I've got my plywood over there. It's quick to go measure it. But then I'm going to cut that whole corner off. So I really don't need to worry about surfacing that corner. And I really don't need to worry either with this flared detail we've got on the die portion. Go over here. We've got this piece that kicks out. I really don't need to worry about doing much because this will be over here on the outside. If this is flush with the edge, I don't need to do the whole panel. If this is going to be sunk in an inch to where I've got like an inch plinth that's 6 inches tall, it checks in and then goes up, I've only got to go 6 inches to square that up because the rest of that's going to be sawed off. So you got to think about, I'm not going to waste days sawing and doing the whole thing because I'm going to saw it off anyways. I don't need to true it up. I just need to true up where it's important and then resolve the rest of it. And so, but first, before we do this, let's lay this base out. And I think I'm going to switch and hang the camera up and see if we can talk a little bit. Okay, we got some drill holes in the top where they split this off, split it on the run, and the stone's running like this. It's humping out really big. Okay, so typically if it wasn't holding down here, this would break and run way off. But when they broke that, it held enough, so it just humped. If you measure this, go down to the other end, right here, this is 6 foot. This is 6'2", and this 6'2" is right here on this drill hole. Now this drill hole goes down, a little over an inch. You know, no big deal. Because if I'm going to come in 4 inches to put a scotia on here, or even 3 inches, that's all going away anyways, because this is all going to be cut off. So what I'm going to do is I measure down here at the bottom where it looks like it's as far in and that's 6'3" right there. And I'm pretty confident that all the way across 6'3", that's 6'3". So we make a judgment call. 6'3" is out here, and it goes way across the end. If we take our big carpenter square and go out, okay? Now, this is a used carpenter square, so you have to keep track of it, because when they cut them for sheetrock, they'll end up eroding one side on them. And one side will be all crooked and the other side will still be good, so you can buy it cheap at the flea market or whatever. Okay, there's 6'3". And that goes across there. Now, we got to do the same thing up on the front. Now we'll decide whether we're going to do 6'2" or 6'3". Okay. That's 6'2" right there. We can check our square just to make sure everything's good. But that's 6'2" and this is 6'3". We'll go over here and check this as well. We're right on our 6'2", and our 6'3" is just off here on the edge. Now let's see how wide we can go, because we may have to estimate, because 6 foot, it's supposed to be 6'4", and that's 4 right there. And that's, boy, that's deep. I don't know if that's gonna pan out. That's really close, whether that's gonna fit or not. But we're gonna pitch this off, so we probably will be okay. let me turn this so y'all can see. I'm worried about this deep spot. What we're going to do first is we're going to go get my hand point and we're going to walk this off. We're going to take this broken part right here, try to get it, this is just sunlight, you know, I'm not doing anything with fancy light. We're going to try to walk this back and see where we get to where it doesn't follow this face where it looks like it's cracked. Because if this goes in another inch, we may have to pull this back to, you know, 2'3" just to make that sound. Because we've got to have good sound stone because we've got a lot of break to get through right there. So let me grab a couple tools and my glasses and we'll turn this back on. All right, let's talk about hand points real quick. And dealing with, well, whether it's point marks or any of this stuff. We got two hand points right here. This is a tool steel hand point. It actually was a drill that I cut off, you know, to go in a big drill. It's tool steel. You can beat this thing until the end of time and it'll take it. It'll probably not blow out. They're super rugged, super durable. You keep them sort of sharp, not perfectly pinpoint needle sharp. You let it blunt over a little bit and you can pound on that thing and pound until you're out of bullets. This is a carbide tipped hand point, and it's got a straight point. It doesn't come down to a point. I got a little more control by having a short edge. That edge is maybe a 1/4 inch. But what this will do is that this will be more accurate. It won't take quite as much of a pounding as this one will, but it'll give me a little better control. And I want this to happen when I do it. I'm not playing games. I want to make sure that this is sound stone. So I'm going to use my 6-pound hammer because it'll take just straight swings and it should clean it right off. We'll see if we're turned where the camera can show. See, I broke and I'm still on that flat. So let's walk back. Now, what I'm not doing is going right into that and pounding. You want to work down to that level. So I took the top off. Now I'm going to take the top off again. Now see, that's holding pretty good. But see, that broke right off and I'm still chasing that same groove. Okay, now see, that broke and it went over to it. It didn't. No, but I'm still getting into that line. And I'm still into that line. See, that's holding pretty good. So at this point, it's not letting go as easy. So I'll probably trust that more now than I did before, that's still holding pretty strong. It's not an easy, it may not be perfect, but what we'll do is we'll put a stripe down this edge all along here with the pencil, and I'll probably just chip it off all the way down the edge to try to square this up and see how deep this is and see if where this goes, so that I know what I've got to deal with. And then I have to set this back, I will. Now, turn the camera a little bit if it'll work. What I'm going to do next is, this is all standing up proud down through here. This is above where the saw stopped right there, and there's a stripe right along here like I showed you on the die. What I'm going to do is I'm going to break this off, but most people just put a tool in here and just go to town and break it this way because it's easy. I want more control. I don't want to booger up this nice top any more than I have to. Even though we're going to waste this off, I want this to work with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, out here, I'll break it off a little bit like that. But where it's skinnier and closer, I'll break it in. I may even break it in with a smaller hammer. We'll see how it feels. See, just hit it easy. And this isn't necessary in terms of big structural or whatever, but I don't want to have to be stressing on this. As it sits here. And we really have to figure out what we've got to work with before we get deep into doing anything important on the die. Now over here, I want to get rid of some of this bulk so this will break easy. When you break, the lighter side of the break, if you want to split something in a specific dimension, you typically, like if we were going to try to split this, if this is a regular, like if we're doing coping and this is a small piece, we wouldn't go 4 inches and break it. You'd go in half and mark it and split it. And then you'd split that in half. And that gives you a lot. And then if you needed to go down to a smaller size, you could go down and chip the edges or pitch the edges to cut it, to get it to dimension. But if you went, so if I go in here deep and hit this hard, this already went in. This may scoop in. I don't want that. I'm going to break in once, maybe twice, to see how it breaks. What I like about this big hammer is that I don't have to fight it. 4-pound hammer, 3-pound hammer, you're pushing the hammer. You don't have to push this 6-pound. It'll just take it right off for you. What'll end up happening is you'll chip your knuckles and you'll bleed on the stone, and you can't do that, so be careful. And then you can go back and get back in closer to that edge. And this is just a regular 4-inch handset. And always watch, if you bump your hand, see if you got cut. Now, if you don't know how to do this, don't start on an important piece of stone that you waited 1.5 years to get. Okay, go out and get a piece of crap, something or other, and start pitching them. Just cut it up, break it up. Get a good register. This is a smaller handset, okay? So that's more comfortable to be around, just in general. And it may just be a whimsy on my part, but that gives me something better so I'm not have this big thing to reach over. And I don't have a big studio, so if I have to squeeze past this rough stone for weeks or months, I'm not going to have any pants left. It'll wear your pants out just slipping by because you'll brush against the sharp stone. But that should do it. I'm pretty happy with the way that looks. Now we'll lay some lines on there and see how this top looks. All right, I went down this edge with a chipper real quick, just to, the chipper's an offset chisel like that, so you can go up against the line. And I just broke it along the saw cut, just to clean it up so it's fairly flat, there's not a lot sticking up. Now I got a hump right here. I can't just break that off, I'd have to walk it back, break this off, break this off, break this off to maintain control. But I think we're into reasonably solid stone here because these little hump is really holding. So what we're going to do now, take our square, and we'll look at it, and we think that's 1'4". We think this deep spot will hold for that. So we're going to go ahead and set it in at 1'4". Finish it with our good straight edge. And that says 2'4". Always double check it because I had this line marked. That's what I thought. So apparently there's a little bit of run out right there. Okay, so we've got our outside line. They're 2'4". So now what we can do is plan on, there really isn't one side that's better to do than the other. We can start this down just to straighten this up. And if we went out to the 1'3", just listen. If we go out to where 1'3" would be on this and drop a line, okay, we've got a face over here we can work from. And we can measure off here to go down. And let's just say we're going to go down 6 inches, okay, to leave plenty here to break. If we go down that 6 inches that we're talking about going and square this up, that should help give us more information because we'll be in here and we'll be able to see how close that is so we can carry this corner down, just the corner. Lower this to see if that's going to capture it. If we go down the 6 inches here, where we're going to be. And then if we have to go in another inch in order to pick up this low spot so where this isn't a problem, now I understand we can go and we can put a tool on top here and drop a pendant and measure it in, and yeah, I get it, okay? By the time we do all that, I'll have this cut off and figured out, and it'll work right. And if you drop a pendant and it isn't perfectly square to the top, like if this isn't absolutely level, then it may not be terribly accurate. So we can do it with 2 or 3 squares, clamp together and measure in, but you know, we're gonna cut stone. So, but this is how you start doing it. You gotta figure it out. And we've got more spare room. If this is 1'4", if that die right there is 1'4", that's 16 inches. We've got at least 4 inches front and back. That's 16, so we've got this much on the front and this much on the back. We've got more room to compress this front to back than we've got on the length if we're going to use as much of that width as possible. And that's what I'd really like to do, because that'll make it a bigger stone. But we still have to have enough room to have a step, because if this comes in 4 inches on each end, and we're at 6'2", if we come in 4 inches, that's to 10, that's 5'10", and that means we've got 10 inches on this end. So if we come in 4 inches, we've got 6 inches over here. And so that means we've got enough room to have a nice graduation up, in, over, up, and then we may even just take the base and make that plinth across, make it into a false plinth that's integral instead of having a separate piece. Because one of the design considerations I didn't really like about the original concept is that 6-inch plinth under her feet is going to look funny if we go straight up. It's going to make it look cheap. If we cut that in, if I cut just maybe an inch off each side, leave that plinth proud to where we've got, it goes up, you know, we've got our scotia to come up here, then we've got a gap of, you know, 4 inches or so. We go up 6, and we go in 1, and then up to the rest of the elements. It's going to look a lot better composed. And I didn't go through and do all the math and figure it out with the golden sector and everything. Yeah, we could do that, okay? This isn't paying for it, so we're not doing it, okay? It's hard enough to sell big jobs like this, and sometimes you just have to make some accommodations in order to actually sell work and have it to do, because you can wear out customers that don't understand all those things. You just sort of have to approximate it and do it on your own. And this is getting up in the area of the hard to get dimensions of stone, to get nice big pieces of granite like this. You know, like that, that's like what it shows. I mean, it took over a year to get this. So we got it, we're gonna move forward. So, but I think it's 4:45 now. I think we're gonna pick up tools and wrap this up. And this will wrap up video number 54 of the virtual stone carving apprenticeship. As we go from evaluating the stone after we get it in studio, because we've got some options, because it's broken out and not sawed to a specific dimension. They were very generous to send me bigger stones, and so I've got a chance to enlarge the project a little bit, so that's what we're going to do. And we're going to make it even bigger and even better. So, like I said, my name is Clint Button here at Carolina Sculpture Studio with the virtual stone carving apprenticeship. Thanks for coming in.